I love a good comeback story, and I think most of us do. We're always watching movies about comeback stories, but the problem is many of us fail to live out our own comeback story, and that's what I want to talk about in this video. Stick around. Over the last year, my channel has been transcending. When I first got started, it was all about gear and performance using that gear, and eventually I stepped out in faith and started talking about subject matter that was near and dear to my heart in the self-defense and awareness realm, and I continue to do that. But I've also, as of late, wanted to go one step further, and that is help people who are in tough situations and who are dealing with tough relationships. And I've been talking a lot about mental warfare as well. And this video is a mental warfare video. There are people right now who are living in the aftermath of a very bad situation. It could be you. That's maybe why you clicked on this video. Something terrible has happened, or something terrible has happened over time, and you're in a bad situation right now, and you're in the valley of decision with regards to where your life is headed and what you're going to do in the middle of this aftermath you're living in right now. My goal is to help you take steps in the right direction. In this video, I'm going to be talking about 3 very crucial steps to a comeback. I've had to come back from some very difficult places in life. I've had to make several comebacks. It hasn't just been one, it's been several. I've dealt with financial ruin way back in the past. I've dealt with so many unforeseen difficulties in raising a special needs child. I know what it's like to be floored by grief. I could sit here and list all the things in life that I've had to come back from, and I'm sure you could do the same. But I've always believed in making strong comebacks. Whether you're a person of faith or not, I want this video to have the same practical application. But I can tell you, as a person of faith, that's been one of the #1 things that has helped me come back every time. You're living in the middle of a story right now. It's your story. And you may be at the place in your story where conflict is dominating, where you've been brought to your knees and you don't even know what to do at this point. Well, I'm telling you, it's time to move forward, and as long as you're breathing, there's hope. The first thing you're going to have to do, this is probably the most important, you've got to own it. You've got to accept it. The situation may have been your fault. It may not have been your fault, but no matter what, you're in this situation and you've got to own it. You've got to take charge of it. You can't just wish it away. You got to establish the fact that you're in this battle, and you got to decide where you're going to go from here. There may be others to blame, but blame shifting is not going to help you either, even if they are to blame. The dangerous thing about identity is we will embrace identity in many cases, whether it's good or bad. And a lot of people have made identities out of their struggle, and that's why they never move forward. You're in this battle. It has happened. It is what it is. You're living in the aftermath. You're here, but you don't have to stay here. The second thing that's got to happen is you've got to do something. You've got to start taking baby steps in the right direction. Don't try to do too much too fast. Take little steps in the right direction. Whatever that direction is, whatever it is you know intuitively you need to do. People try to figure everything out all at one time, and my advice to them is you need to do the next right thing. Your greatest competitor is looking back at you in the mirror, and you've got to make the decision to start taking the steps that are necessary. If we keep doing what we've been doing, we're going to keep getting what we've been getting. Most of you know the definition of insanity. It is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Our life is not going to change by simply wishing it would change. Sacrifices are going to have to be made. Excuses are going to have to be pushed aside, and you're going to have to do the opposite of what you've been doing. You can climb out of this hole. You can make a comeback. I would challenge you to use the comment section in this video. If you feel vulnerable enough, and if you don't mind doing it, you can put in the comments what your struggle is. What steps should I take? Ask YouTube. You may get a lot of sarcastic responses. Ignore them. They're not helping you, but you might get some good responses. What I have discovered with most people, though, is that they already know what they're supposed to be doing. They're just not doing it. They're fixed in their grief. They're fixed in their bitterness. They're fixed in their struggle. That is their identity. A lot of people don't want help. A lot of people just want attention. Don't be the kind of person who is content with just getting everybody else's empathy or sympathy and attention. Be the kind of person that's willing to take sound advice and do something with it. Listen, there have been people who lost everything, and I mean everything. They came back from it. There have been people who have lost hundreds of pounds. There have been people who have come back from the darkest of situations, and we read their stories and we shout and they cheer. What about your story? You know what you got to do? It's time to do it. Take those baby steps, start moving in the right direction. Now let's talk about number 3. It's time to develop consistency and momentum. Don't be destination minded. Don't just work your way out of this till you get to a certain point you're satisfied with. Make it a lifestyle. Make it a journey. Make it something that you do ongoing, because we will rise or fall based on our consistencies. We are a product of our consistencies and our inconsistencies. After you start taking those baby steps, start taking bigger steps. Keep growing. Keep progressing. Leave the past behind. Leave the bitterness behind. Don't get bitter, get better. You've heard that quote. Keep pressing on. Our tests in life lead to testimonies. When you get where you're going, you're going to inspire somebody else. You're going to bless somebody else's life, because they're going to look at you as somebody who didn't lay down. Listen, if you're still breathing, there's a purpose for you being here. Don't lay down like this. Let's get going. I want to end with a quote, and it's a tough quote, but it's the truth. There are 2 types of people. There are those who make a way. There are those who make an excuse. I know your pain is real. I know your setback is real, but I'm going to tell you what else is real: your opportunity to come back from it. But you got to be willing to own it. You got to be willing to take those baby steps in a new direction. You got to be willing to develop solid consistencies. I know you can do it. Many others know you can do it. And the ones who don't think you can, who cares? They can't stop you if you're willing to go after it. Make your comeback. Start today. Take care.